I saw the other day on your story after the fight, you had posted tag Bellator like, "Hey, sign me, get me back in there." Is that something you're looking
Come
forward
on,
to
man. Hit
getting
my
back with
line. That's
Bellator?
what I
There you
told him,
go.
bro. Call my phone. They've been playing for way too long, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined by Mad Max Metzgar. Brother, how does it feel coming off the debut pro win?
My dog. Thanks for having me, bro. Feeling good. I'm out here on my porch, soaking up the sun rays, having an Aperol spritz. Having a different kind of Monday than a lot of folks, but I work on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays.
There you
So
go.
just doing whatever I want to do today and maybe even tomorrow. But then we'll be right back in the gym here in a couple of days, man. But it feels good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure having you on, man. We were just talking just a second ago. You've been on my radar for a little while. You had the pro debut this past weekend at OCL 29, and it felt like there was no better time than now to have you on the show. So appreciate you taking the time. And let's talk about a little bit about this fight that you just had against Dom Johns. One and round two, ground and pound. I mean, dude, just a dominant performance. Is that the way that you saw it coming out for your pro debut?
It is. I knew that he was a high school wrestler. He was a three-time All-State wrestler in Ohio. He was an All-State running back. People are gonna kind of discredit it based on the way that I made it look. People are gonna say, that guy was a bum, and people are gonna say, who is he fought? But they're always gonna say something like that. He was a three-time All-State wrestler in Ohio, good athlete. So I knew that that it was ultimately probably going to lead to grappling. So I was confident in myself there. I was kind of hoping that the fight would be a little bit longer on the feet. I'm still kind of looking to get more cage time and settle in on the feet, but the couple of flurries that we did have on the feet, I was happy with. After watching back the tape, I was happy with how I looked on the feet, but I would have liked to see it last on the feet a little bit longer, but ultimately I figured that was what was going to happen. We were going to end up wrestling, and I was going to end up pinning him to the ground and punching him and elbowing him in his face. So that is pretty much how I saw that going. I told my buddies that were asking me for a prediction, and I told them either late first or halfway through the second round when I see myself getting him out of it. He had never been KO'd or TKO'd before in his amateur career. So that was the feather in my cap that I was trying to, that was what I was shooting for with this one, was to be the first guy to finish him in that fashion. And that's what we went and did.
So a couple things moving into this fight that I noticed. Number one was his longer amateur career than you had. I think he had like 20 something amateur fights, I believe. But then also too, he was coming down a division. He fought at middleweight prior and then came down to welterweight. It didn't seem like either one of those things were a factor in this fight though for you.
Yeah, he was a shorter guy. I definitely had a bit more muscle mass as well. He was when he was fighting at 85 and 205, he was a little bit on the heavier side of being a little bit fluffy. But yeah, I think I was the bigger athlete. You could see at the weigh-ins. I was both taller and had more muscle density. So yeah.
So with you, Max, you probably are one of the most sought after amateur fighters, as well as one of probably the most highly anticipated pro debuts, might argue, because originally we were signed with Bellator going for this first pro fight. What ended up happening with Bellator that we ended up having to fight on this OCL card for a pro debut?
Yeah, man. A lot of people don't actually know what happened with that. So I'm glad you asked. A lot of people have been kind of just unaware of what happened. I signed a bout agreement for June 16th of last year. That was supposed to be my pro debut. I was going against a pro fighter who I think was like 1-2 or something like that, a kickboxer that was supposed to take place in Chicago. That was going to be my debut in my hometown. I had just got back down from training at Extreme Couture for a month, and I had all this great momentum coming off my last win, and just had a bunch of great momentum going. And they made us. We were originally scheduled to be the first fight of the night, and then I think based on the amount of ticket sales that they saw that I brought in, Bellator decided to change us to the main event of the prelims.
Wow.
So the fight after us was going to be Yoel Romero for a world title, and then just so happened that right after they did that, they got pulled out. He said he sprained his ankle. So I have a feeling that reality kind of settled in. He realized what was about to happen on prime television, and he decided that he didn't want to go through with that.
I saw the other day on your story after the fight, you had posted tag Bellator like, hey, sign me, get me back in there. Is that something you're looking
Come
forward
on,
to
man, hit
getting
my
back with
line. That's
Bellator?
what I
There you
told him,
go.
bro. Call my phone. They've been playing for way too long, man. But it seems like it's been kind of a common theme. I hate to say it. I just saw a statement that Douglas Lima came out with. Obviously, you know who Douglas Lima is.
Hmm.
Saying that they've held him as well as a couple other of their pro stars out of competition for the entire tenure of since the PFL agreement. You know, so I'm
Hmm.
not the only one that's kind of getting held out right now and that's looking to get a fight that can't get one. So um, it's just a shame, though, man. You know, it's just a shame. It's pretty crazy to be, you know, in the prime of your career, just looking to kind of take off, just making it off the runway, and to be out of activity for over a year. I mean, that's it's just. I mean, it was driving me crazy, dude. I mean, I cannot tell you how it was just driving me crazy, not having control of that and being like, dude, I need to fight. You know, I need to continue to push the needle. I'm 27 years old. I got about 8 more good years left in me, and to have one of them just be pretty much just taken away. You know, granted, I was able to continue to get better. It's not like I was hurt and couldn't train, but I was looking to get at least 2 or 3 fights in the past 15 months, and definitely been frustrating. But yeah, that's what happened.
Hmm. I want to talk about that 15-month layoff. Longest time between fights in your career so far. In your amateur days, you had, one or two a year, it seemed like normally. What was that time mostly spent on? You had mentioned Extreme Couture earlier. Did you do a lot of cross training in that 15-month period?
Yeah, I didn't visit any other gyms besides Extreme Couture. The guys at Kill Cliff just got a hold of me about 2 weeks ago and invited me down there. So I think I'm gonna be going down to Kill Cliff pretty soon. Hit up my boy Gable. I don't know if you know Gable Stevenson, but he's been training down there at Kill
Yeah,
Cliff,
yeah.
and I'm always going back and forth with Buckheim was just busting each other's balls. He's always asking me, "When's Bellator gonna get you a fight, bro?" And, but yeah, I think I'm gonna head down to Kill Cliff in a couple weeks here. You know, kind of get back into a regular swing of things, and then look to go down there for a couple weeks. But most of my time in that 15 months was spent working on my jujitsu with my um, Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach Vitor Oliveira. He was a 5-time world gold medalist. Um, I never train in the gi. I can't stand it, and I think it's almost like a running joke at this point that I just don't train in the gi. But as much as I kind of poke fun at jujitsu and kind of say that it doesn't work in MMA, which obviously isn't true, I do spend a good bit of time doing nogi and trying to elevate my game in jujitsu. So a lot of time was spent doing that, but more than anything, I've been working on my boxing.
Hmm.
I got a gym that I go down to in Columbus, Ohio, called Rising Stars Boxing, which is run by Ryan Dickey. And you know, I was going around to different boxing gyms in Ohio, really all over the place, trying to find a gym that I felt like was at the level um, that I was looking for. Because you know, I feel like I can kind of gauge, even though you know I don't know a lot of boxing. I know what a good room looks like. I know what a guy who knows what he's talking about looks like,
Hmm.
regardless of what the martial art is. And the leaps and bounds that I took in my boxing in the past 15 months have been huge. Working with Rising Stars and working with Ryan Dickey, just being in a pure boxing gym with guys that only do boxing. You know, that's how you elevate your game is training with people who specialize in the individual martial arts, right? And then you bring that back to MMA, and you know, a lot of MMA guys don't have crisp boxing. You know, some of them don't have crisp jiu-jitsu. So you want to go train with those high level guys in the individual arts, and then you know bring that back to the octagon.
I love that. And so the other thing that I got to ask, Max, 7 fights in the amateur career. During this 15-month layoff, did you ever have any thoughts of having another amateur fight or just doing a pro fight sooner? I mean, what was that thought
Yeah.
process for you?
I definitely thought about taking. There was a while where I was looking to get an amateur boxing match, but nobody would fight me. I think we got turned down by 4 guys on the amateur boxing scene. Um, I tried to take an amateur Muay Thai kickboxing match. I think 2 guys turned us down in Muay Thai kickboxing. Um, it was just a shame, you know what I mean? On paper, if you look at me and you watch my fights, you should be like, this guy's just a wrestler. Like, of course, I'll fight him. But these guys were fucking scared to fight me. So, but definitely across my mind, I was just gonna have to do anything I could do to get active. You know what I mean? I almost even took just a smoker just to get that feeling back and stay comfortable in that cage. The most important thing in this game is staying active and staying comfortable in that cage. Um, and I was really almost surprised how comfortable I felt in this last one. I don't know if it was because it was in my backyard in Columbus, Ohio, or if it was because in my head I didn't really feel very threatened by my opponent. But I felt right back at home, man. I didn't feel any ring rust after being out for 15 months. I felt like I settled right in, and it was just another day, just like me talking to you right here, right now. It was just very, very normal, which was it was just kind of a good surprise.
Do you feel like now being a pro, did you ever have number one any problems finding fights as an amateur? Do you feel like if you did, is that going to carry over to a pro level? You feel like more people will be willing to fight more often as a pro?
I had a lot of trouble finding fights as an amateur. I was calling out everybody in Ohio, and after I got to 4-0, I still never lost a round before in my career. I've also never taken a damaging strike before. I've never left with a black eye or a busted nose or anything like that. But I had to travel all over the country to get fights. I was going to Pennsylvania, Kentucky, West Virginia. I was going all over the place trying to find guys who would fight me as an amateur. And I think if I wasn't signed to Bellator, or if God forbid, the Bellator contract does just end up being void, and they don't end up getting me a fight here, like I think I already said, they're going back to Chicago in October. So I think that's kind
Hmm.
of the do or die moment for this Bellator contract. Um, but if it does go through with Bellator, I don't see anybody being able to duck or dodge me because Bellator is gonna take care of me if they actually do decide to put me in there. I know they have a plan for me that they told me and my manager about. But if not, I imagine it will be hard to get fights. I wouldn't want to fight me either. You watch the tape and you're like, what are you going to do to this guy? So yeah, man. I mean, hopefully Bellator gives me some motion, and then it's not hard to find a fight. But if I'm continuing to fight on this regional scene, I do think it will probably be more travel in the country,
Hmm.
and and maybe even bringing in other guys from around the country to fight for Ohio Combat League against me.
You got to go to the fight capital of the world, my man, Las Vegas, Nevada, to see Mad Max on the big screen.
Come on, man. That's what the dream is, dude. We're a little ways away from Vegas, but you know, I'm
Plane
trying to get
ride
on the
ain't nothing.
Chicago. Yeah, plane ride ain't nothing, but I'm just trying to get on this Chicago card, man, for Bellator. That has to happen. We would sell out the whole arena, man. And the amount that we had for that last one, dude, I mean, I think I must have sold at least 300 tickets to that
Man,
last show. They made us the main event of the prelims for a reason. You know what I mean? I think we had about a third of that whole arena was coming to see us. We were about to have these fucking foam fingers with my face on them. You know what I mean? We had a whole plan for the merch and everything. But
well, so at 27 years old, Max, the reigning question in my head is how high do we see the ceiling for Mad Max?
how high do I see it? I'm
Mm,
trying to be a world champ, man. That was the plan since I started doing this, was to be a world champion, and I've trained accordingly the entire time. I mean, I just fought Dom Johns and just had a pretty much, another flawless victory against him. Didn't take a single lick of damage. But those aren't the guys that I'm training for, man. Everyone's been calling me and telling me I look so good, and I did so well, and I'm like, that's what I'm supposed to do against these guys. I'm training for the Nurmagomedovs. You know what I mean? I'm
mm.
training to fight. I'm training to fight one of those dudes from Dagestan, or or one of these dudes from the favelas of Brazil. That's the guy that I'm getting ready for when I'm waking up and I'm going to my training sessions, and that's what I'm getting ready for. So my whole thing has always been the ceiling is the world title, and I even dare to say I want to try to win two of them. I want to try to win a world title at 155, and then try to go up one and get one at 170. That's
Man,
that's
double
that's what the
champ status is on the rise. I love it. What's the 5 year plan, Max? Where are we going to see ourselves in 5 years? What's the steps we're going to take to get to this UFC, the UFC champion, world champion?
I don't know, man. Step one is getting on these Bellator cards, stacking up a couple good wins for Bellator. Um, Bellator is paying the right, Bellator and the PFL, if they're paying the right amount of money, you'll probably see me stay with them for my whole career. But I'd be lying if I said that ultimately I wouldn't like to end up in the UFC.
Hmm.
Um, I, the UFC is the UFC. Um, and it kind of, I hate that, I probably shouldn't even say it, but it does have a bad taste in my mouth, the way that I've been sitting out with Bellator and the PFL. You know what I mean? Just as a
Hmm.
businessman, it doesn't rub me the right way that, I was supposed to get a certain number of fights in a certain amount of time, and that just hasn't happened. So, but what's the road look like? The road looks like keep taking people down, bringing them into my corner, and then violently assaulting them until the ref pulls me off. That's what the roadmap looks like. You know what I mean? Continue to do exactly what we've been doing this whole time. Continue to get better at boxing. Continue to get better at jiu-jitsu. Continue to get better at kickboxing. And just stay active and stay comfortable in there, man. And that's it. That's it.
Well, I think the ceiling's really high for you. You've been dominant your whole career, amateur and pro. So I can't wait to see where you end up. Hopefully, like you said, on that Bellator card in Chicago. I got a few rapid fire questions for you, Max. My favorite part of the interview is always just straight off the dome. I want to see where your head's at, man. I want to see where your head is.
This train's
All right,
passing me by right now. Okay, let's give it about 5 seconds.
all right, all right.
You hear it? Can you hear it over
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Give it just 1 second. Maybe I can walk inside. Huh? Let me just bring myself inside here. All right, I'm ready. Damn,
All
my
right,
girl
brother.
don't lock the door on me, bro. What's wrong? What are you doing?
Rapid fire. Favorite fighter. I'm gonna go UFC, but you can say Bellator, PFL, whatever you watch the most. Who's your favorite fighter right now on the roster?
Oh, favorite fighter right now on the roster. Man, that's a tough one, bro. That's a tough one. I like that dude, Nate the Train, man. I'm a big fan of his. I don't know why. I really like that dude, Nate Landwehr.
He's a nut, bro.
Favorite fighter on the roster, man. It always brings me to this, and I'm like, I hate to say it, bro. I hate to say it, but Conor McGregor, man. Conor McGregor is my favorite fighter on the roster, even though he's a little washed up. Definitely still my favorite fighter on the roster. Definitely the main fighter that kind of I'm trying to follow in the path of, man. I always say that whatever Kobe Bryant did to Michael Jordan, just following that blueprint. That's kind of what I'm doing with Conor McGregor. As much as I hate to admit it, and I don't like to say his name because it's the obvious answer.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said anybody else. Even though
You got it.
even though he has his times where I'm just like, dude, what's wrong with this guy, bro? I'm like, are you all right?
Yeah.
Um, but
You got
yeah,
a you got a prediction for him versus Chandler.
yeah, I do. I think either a first round knockout or somewhere midway through the second round. I think either in the first couple of exchanges of the first round, first minute of the first round, or somewhere towards the middle end of the second round. I think it's either going to be something that you saw, kind of like what happened with Jose Aldo,
Mm.
or kind of what you saw against Chad Mendes, where it's either going to be in the first couple moments or it's going to be whenever Conor gets taken down. Chandler expends a good bit of energy. Conor makes his way back up to the feet. And now all of a sudden, Michael Chandler is exhausted because everybody knows he has kind of a habit of expending energy in ways that aren't the most efficient. So that'd be my Mad Max prediction.
Man, Max prediction right there. All right, grappling or striking? Which one are you choosing?
I think I love striking more, bro. I think I just love striking, bro. The creativity and the art of it, I just absolutely have fallen in love with it. I think that in MMA, what takes you far is how much you love this game. You know, you can't be obsessed with it the way that you need to be if you don't really, really love it. If you're just doing it as an ends to a means to, get people to see you how you want to be seen or to make money or whatever it is. If you don't fucking just love it for what it is for the game, then you're just, you're not going to make it to the highest level. But I'm a grappler. That's my bread and butter since I was 9 years old. So as much as I love the striking and that's kind of like what I'm passionate about, definitely grappling, bro. That's my thing. As you've seen in all my fights, it's just taking people down and beating them up.
Fair enough. So after you cut all this weight, Max, you probably walk around like 190 if you're cutting to 170 at least, I'm assuming. After you
Just
cut all
about,
this
bro.
weight, what's your go-to food to replenish this all this weight with?
Yeah, that's a good one, bro. A good old American cheeseburger, man. Just a
Oh,
just a good old cheeseburger,
is
bro.
that pre-fight or post-fight?
Oh, it's gotta be post fight.
All
Pre-fight,
right.
pre-fight, it's still just following the strict regimented, process of rehydrating and carb loading. And, I'm just doing whatever my nutritionist tells me to do at that point, eating sweet potatoes and,
Mhm.
doing what I'm told there. But as soon as the fight's over, I'm grabbing a cheeseburger, man.
Fair enough. You got a favorite spot you go to?
Yeah, I think Five Guys is always, always the easy go-to, but I got a couple good little pubs around here in Columbus, Ohio that I like to go to. I like
Nice.
Smash Burger. Culver's is another one that I think is probably at the top of the fast food chain. But last time we got done partying and everything afterwards, it was like 2 in the morning, so all that was closed. So I had to settle for Swenson's, which I've been
Swenson's.
seriously, seriously regretting for the past 2 days. I wish the Five Guys would have been open.
Mount Rushmore, four heads. Who is your top four greatest of all time MMA fighters?
Oh man. All right. John Jones, Khabib Nurmagomedov. People love to hate on Khabib, bro, because he fought a bunch of bums in Russia, bro. I don't care. I don't care, bro. I don't care. He never bled inside the octagon and defended the belt multiple times, bro. Undefeated, never lost. Maybe only lost 1 or 2 rounds in his whole career. Gotta be on Mount Rushmore. Obviously, John Jones. I kind of like to make the comparison that John Jones is almost like the LeBron James of MMA because he was just
Yeah.
so much more athletic and so gifted that for me, it just is, it just kind of takes away just a little bit from his greatness, just that he was so blessed. But obviously, still one of the greatest of all time. One of the guys that gets slept on, Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse has to be on the GOAT list. Um, and people are going to say George St. Pierre should be above this. People are going to say, Jose Aldo should be above this. Volkanovski should be above this. But the last one for me is McGregor. I don't think we've ever seen a striker with that kind of power at the weight class. At 145, I don't think we were going to see anybody beat McGregor when he was at 145. So my four are probably Khabib, John Jones, Mighty Mouse, and then Connor.
Love it, bro. I love it. Mighty Mouse is one of the most loved on this podcast. One day I'm hoping to get him on here. You got any shout outs you want to give, Max?
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Man, shout outs. I'm just gonna give the same shout outs that I gave whenever I was on the mic, bro. My team, my sponsors, my guys that are doing well by me before I make it big to the money and I can finally pay them back one day. But so my gym, Ronin Training Center, my jiu-jitsu coach, Vitor Olivara, my MMA coach, Josh Williams, my boxing coach at Rising Stars, Ryan Dickey, my strength and conditioning coach with Inferno Performance and Rehab, Dylan Seeley, my guy Sean Carew at Wellness Flow, my girlfriend. I forgot to thank my girlfriend on the mic after the fight was over, and I've been hearing
Oh,
about that.
yeah.
So yeah, it was a major mistake, major mistake. But yeah, man, just shout out to my team and that's it, man. Shout out to you for having me on the podcast, bro. So thanks for giving us all a platform to come on here and let the fans get to know us a little bit better. So shout out to you as well, bro. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Well, it's a pleasure having you on, man. It's been great. It's been wonderful. I can't wait to see you inside the cage again. Hopefully in Bellator, but if not, hopefully some other stage even
Yes.
bigger, brother.
Stand something up for me, bro, would you?
All right, bro. Have a good one. I appreciate you so much. Mad Max, ladies and gentlemen.